Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Miss Tracy. Macy. Hello, Miss Macy, Tammy, Dawn. Welcome. Let me give everybody a few minutes to jump on. I miss you, Macy.
Hello.
I would love everybody to share some gratitude this morning. You can either type something in the text, in the chat, or unmute yourself and share, but I would love to hear some good gratitude. Share your gratitude.
I would just like to say how grateful I am that the spring market has been so phenomenal.
Yes.
Phenomenal. It's been a really good market.
Yes, it has been a very busy spring market already. Where I think good things and bad things. I think there's a lot of people very emotional and making very emotional decisions right now, but then there's also just like very good movement in the market and lots. I mean, we have listings getting multiple offers right now, and we have other listings that are struggling to get showing. So I think it's a good mixture of we're balancing back out. I would love to see buyers stay a little bit more committed right now. I feel like we have buyers waiting for the next best thing, but that's what a balanced market is. We just haven't been here in a while, and I think sometimes we forget. But I know a lot of people are having very good years. We're having a really good year. We're seeing lots of success. So I'm thankful for that. Tracy says she's thankful for her business this year so far and for her dad. I love that, Tracy. What else? Who else is share some gratitude today? What else are you thankful for? Anybody? I'm very grateful for like a community that we can all plug into because right now it is real estate is not for the weak of hearts right now. So I'm just thankful for like people to plug into. Um, I would say connecting with other people that are real and other people that can be transparent and say, we have really, really good weeks right now, and we have weeks that are really, really tough. And there are a lot of sellers, I think, that are sitting on the market longer than to be expected. So balancing their emotions and having a community that you can go into and plug and get ideas to help them move their house forward or just stay connected. Yep, for support is huge right now. Liz said, I'm thankful for busier open houses. Yes. And allowing myself grace for a struggling start. Absolutely to that. We've seen great turnouts at our open houses. I would say our open house traffic average is probably 10 to 15 people at every open house right now, which I don't feel like we've seen those numbers in a long, long, long time. Grateful for community and being able to lean in on groups for support. Yes, I think that is everything right now. I really worry for the agents that don't have communities to plug into right now because it can be very lonely and hard. It's not always rainbows and butterflies and lots of pendings. Sometimes it is, and then sometimes it balances itself out. Anything else that you're grateful for? Anything you want us to cover today? We're really just going to dive deep into our listing guide today and talk to you about a few things that we do, few options that we offer that we've seen success with, that have helped us scale our business and also offer more to our sellers. But I'm just going to kind of run through it page by page. Feel free to stop me and ask me any questions. I don't want this just to be like me presenting you, like you're my seller. I want this to be very interactive. Ask the why, ask, whatever you want to ask on every single page. I want you to share. And then share, I think at the end, some takeaways of maybe what are you going to do to implement this in your listing guide? Who has a listing presentation or a listing guide that they use consistently? By either a raise of hands or you can drop it in the chat. When is the last time you've updated it? I would love to know what that looks like too. Or how often do you try to update it? Would be a good question for me to ask you. Dawn says she updates hers yearly, update quarterly, just did it. I'm just working on mine since this is the weekend. Yes. We try to, anytime we start to feel a pivot in the market, we go in and update something. So whether that be quarterly, every 6 months, once a year, I would say we at least update it every 6 months. But there are sometimes when the market shifts or we see things happen or we learn something from somewhere that we do pivot and shift and update it quicker because it can definitely give you essentially a competitive advantage when you stay on top of what's the market saying, what are clients needing right now. And I think one shift that we've seen since COVID is people do need more options, whether that be they want to do exclusive, whether they're an investor and they want to sell off market, whether they need help getting ready. So we have taken, and this is one of the unique things that we've done, I would say in the last 12 to 18 months, we give people options now, which we're going to dive deep into what that looks like. So let me go ahead and share. One other thing that we also did recently as well is we started to just put all of our stuff out there everywhere. So you can now just go to our website and literally our buyer guide and our listing guide are just on our website. And the reason why we've done that is we just want consumers to have access to us at their fingertips. Because whether we realize it or not, most sellers are making the decision to use us before we even get in front of them. So the more accessibility they have to us, the more that they see our video, the more that they can see this is how we operate. It allows your listing appointment to just be a button up listing appointment. What do we need to do to get the house ready? It's not, you're not always necessarily winning the client in the listing appointment. Yes, you need to match and mirror them. You need to earn their trust. You need to show that what you're doing online and how you're showing up online and what you're saying you're doing and your success is reality in person. And that validates everything. And again, it's another level of trust building, but putting more stuff out there so they can have access to it at their fingertips only helps you move along. I want you to think about the last time you have bought a car, you've bought an expensive piece of jewelry, you've bought furniture. You've usually done most of your research before you actually walked into the store. Would you agree with that? And when you walked in the store, like you knew what you were going to buy. Sellers are doing the exact same thing with you. Most of the time, not all sellers, but most sellers are usually doing the exact same thing with you. They're not just calling you because of they Googled you. Sometimes, yes, but they usually have Googled you. They've then looked at your Facebook. They've then usually probably looked at your Instagram. When they look at Facebook or Instagram, they're usually looking at who are my mutual friends. Maybe they ask one of your mutual friends, or maybe they came to you as a referral anyways. They've seen your ads on Facebook or Instagram, but they've also usually went a step further and probably Googled you and verified who you are, who it is you work for. If they go to your website and see that you've sold this many houses, these are the listings you have, and you're able to tell your story more online, it makes your listing appointment so much more easier. So one thing that we do is we put our listing guide and buyer guides on our websites. And then anytime a lead comes in, and we've already reviewed this, we send to them our listing guide and a list of qualifying questions. So we know what we're walking into when we go to the listing appointment, and then we dive into the listing appointment. So we create a visual of who we are as a team. And I want them to realize what it looks like when they work with us. Not everybody has worked with a team. You know, you can be an individual and still paint this picture, especially if you have a transaction coordinator or a listing coordinator that helps facilitate everything for you. But it looks powerful when you have a team representing you and not always just an individual agent. So if you do have a transaction coordinator, I don't think it's a bad idea to put them in here either, because the more that you can establish trust and also like a picture of who it is you're working with, it just gives them peace of mind. So I tell them the story of Mary Carol Adams is my director of operations. She helps me operate the team. Macy Alley is our listing coordinator. She's going to be the one that works with you directly to get your photo scheduled, the lockbox on. She's going to send all of the listing documents to you, do all of the MLS entry inputting, communicate with you on a weekly basis until we go under contract. And then Stephanie is going to be your transaction coordinator that really helps make sure that the buyer, the buyer's agent, the buyer's attorney, the lender, everybody's doing what they need to do to reach the dates in the contract. I'm your main point of contact for the high level stuff. I'm going to do your market analysis. We're going to talk about what your list price is. Whenever we determine your list price and we go on market, I'm going to, tell the team, this is how we're marketing this property. It's unique. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. Whenever we receive an offer, I'm going to negotiate the offer for you. I'll help you then negotiate the due diligence request, and then I'll show up at closing. But everything else, my team is going to do and communicate with you at a much higher level that I'm capable of. And I just let them know that. It's like, and I usually figure out what career it is they do ahead of time. But let's say she's a nurse. I would say it's like at the doctor's office. Like you see the doctor for the high level stuff, the nurse and the admin do everything else. And I explain it to them so that they understand that I'm here to help them every step of the way. But I also set the stage and understanding like, I don't want you blowing me up about X, Y, and Z. Macy or Stephanie are going to be your people for that. So they know from the get-go, it's not that I don't want to help them. Macy and Stephanie can help them more than I can. And they're more accessible. If I'm in appointments all day and you need to talk to me about rescheduling a showing, you need to talk to Macy or Stephanie and not me, because I may not be readily available to get back to you where they are. So I let them understand like, this is how we work as a team. I start to talk to them about what's the best way to communicate with you. And then I also give them a vision. And hopefully they've followed us on social media or know, but like who it is we stand for. And I think this is something that can make you so different. A lot of agents keep it very, very business. I do want it to be a little bit personal and sticky, and let them know. And this is our mission, to empower others to live an abundant life by focusing on growth, deeply connected relationships through a positive mindset and lifestyle. Our vision is to be the real estate team of choice, where knowledge meets excellence and people feel right at home. Our values are God, family, community, and then business. And then our beliefs are always to create a win-win, operate with a high level of integrity, be committed to you and your goals, communicate with you at a high level, bring creativity to the table, whether that's marketing your property or in negotiations. You always come first. We want to operate with a high level of trust, work together as a team, protect your equity, and most importantly, make sure that you have a successful experience. This just paves the picture of like what our culture and what it looks like to work with us as a team. And I want them to know like everybody that you work with on the team should have this exact same feeling. You should feel the confidence. You should feel that we're operating at a high level. You should feel our integrity. You should feel our communication. And we have a system built out to ensure that our buyers and sellers are being communicated with by either me or my team, usually the beginning of the week and the end of the week. Because right now in this market, if we're not communicating with people, you're going to start to lose people, because your silence is avoidance of the truth. And sometimes we have to tell them like, your house isn't selling because we're overpriced, and remind them of what the market looked like when maybe they went on market and what does it look like now. And the more that you can stay in front of those people and keep them hearing the truth versus getting in their emotions, you're going to keep them captive and keep their trust as a client. Does anybody have any questions on these 2 pages before I go? Do you have a mission, vision, values, and belief system that you have posted or that you convey anywhere? Anybody? No. I think it's something huge. We have it on our website. We post it on our social media. It's in every single piece of like listing guide, our buyer guide, and our team knows it. I think this is just a great way to ensure that you're embodying who you are and putting it in writing for people to also see. Because I oftentimes think if they don't see it and you're not telling them that, then you're relying on them to dissect that. Yep. So yes, some people do. It's in my guides. I have it on my website. Yes. I think it's just important to convey who it is you are, what you believe in, because you're going to attract more people like you. And the more that you can attract people like you, the easier those people are to work with. Okay, let me move this over here so I can page one. Okay. And then I let them know like what it is we do for the community, ways that we give back, organizations that we support. And I ask them too, as we're working with you, do you know of any families, organizations, schools that we can give back to? And we oftentimes donate throughout the year because we ask this question quite often. And people come to us all the time with just needs in the community. And we're very blessed. And a community that supports you and gives back to you, you should also support and give back to it. So we let people know that this is like one of our beliefs and values is to give back to our community. I update this quarterly. I'm getting ready to update it probably this week. It's always good to let them know of what overall the market looks like, to give them a realistic picture of like right now, we're getting very close to a balanced market, which is essentially a 6-month inventory supply. Buyers and sellers are going to be equal at a 6-month inventory supply. I also do this research before I go into the listing appointment. I let them know what the market looks like according to them, because we have some markets right now that are still a 1 to 2 month inventory supply, which means it's still a strong seller's market. But we have other markets that are 6 to 8 months. If you look at new construction in certain areas from 400 to 600,000, it's a 6 to 8 month inventory supply, which is a balanced market. But if you don't tell them these things and they start to feel the market is ick, but yet their friend who's listed at 250,000 sold in multiple offers, they're going to start to look to you as you're not doing your job. So you need to give them the realistic vision of what the market looks like. So give a big picture, but also let them know, and this is the big picture, also let them know this is what the market looks like in your price point in your area, and show them maybe what they're going to be up against too. I let them know our team stats of what we list the same exact house for. So I'll find a home that we sold in a neighborhood and show them, this very similar house sold for 372,000 by another agent. They listed it at 372, but they only got 98.7% of list price. And they were on the market 26 days. We sold that exact same house for 408,000. We got 99.6% of list price, and we were only on the market in 11 days. And how we do that is really our marketing, our exposure, and our social media following, and our ability to help you prepare your home and get it staged, ready for photos, smelling good, looking good, ready for a home inspection, to ensure that we can position your home to sell for a higher price. But then also when we go under contract, we want to make sure there's no huge things that pop up that could cause a huge reduction in price that nets you less in the long run. So we work with our sellers heavy on the front end. Like I'm getting ready in a little bit to go view a house that goes on the market Wednesday, but just to ensure that they're ready for photos. I told them what to plant, told them what to declutter. They're not using a stager. So I'm going over there to help them like stage their house. But the more time and energy you put in the front end to a house, it usually leads to an easier sale. It's going to look better in photos. And I tell people make or break their decision to come see your house based upon what your photos look like and your videos. So we need to ensure that we're staged, we're decluttered, we're depersonalized, because I want to help you get this number. I may even charge you a little bit to get this number, but overall, you're going to net more money and you're not going to pay us till closing. And we have that conversation. I don't usually go into my accolades, but it is what it is. The only thing I do say, and this is a good thing for you to track, you need to see what your market share looks like, because market share means market dominance. And besides, we're a team of 7 agents. Besides like all of Keller Williams or all of Remax or all of Allen Tate, we do about just as much as all of them. And that's huge. I really need to put it on a graph because I don't think people always understand that. But what that means is we're just high producing. We know what's going on in the market before it's statistical data. I can tell you right now in our local market, there are so many buyers right now backing out right before closing, walking away from $10,000, $12,000, $8,000 in due diligence right now because the next best house just hit the market. And we haven't seen stuff like that happening in 7 or 8 years. People haven't been walking away. Yeah, go ahead.
How are you obtaining your market stats? Like not your market stats, but your market share.
You can either go into Market View Broker if you have access to that. It's through showing time. Or what you need to look at are what are your closings year to date And what are the total closings in the MLS in your area year to date?
Okay.
And figure out the percentage.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a great way to position yourself to let people know like you are successful, you are dominant in the marketplace, and they should want to work with you. We put testimonials up of just past clients that we've worked with. And then why hire us? This is really 2 pages for somebody that really wants to go very detailed on all that we do. I usually just highlight it based upon what I know is important to this client, especially if I already know them. If I don't know them, I just highlight really what makes us different. Obviously, our unmatched market expertise. I've sold over 200,000 or 200,000. I wish 200,000, 2,000 homes here in our local market. We're very well connected. We know how to stay ahead of the trends. We're able to obtain information because of EXP of what's happening in the California market, the Florida market, the Atlanta market before it comes here. And then we pivot. We pivot quicker. We know how to prepare for it. We're a team. We're here to support you. We have a comprehensive client care program, which really means from the initial consultation to the closing table, you are going to be communicated with usually 2 times a week and oftentimes more. We have lots of experience with the negotiating. I then mention our market share again. And then we don't just put your house in the MLS. Like we door knock, we do open houses. We let the neighbors know your house is listed for sale. We have an option of doing exclusive off-market listings. We have a database of over 20,000 people. Our social media is huge. We have over 20,000 local organic followers. And then we also do paid marketing online too, which captures people everywhere based upon just the little meta tags we put in. We know how to work through a repair request. We have vendors. And then after closing, we always want our clients to be lifetime clients. So we do give them access to our vendor list. They need a painter, power washer, windows, any renovations done. But again, this just takes it back to showing like the value and the support and the exposure that we give them. I haven't yet dove into like the detailed marketing items, but I've just given them like a taste of it. And if you've ever heard somebody say, somebody usually has to hear something like 4 to 6 times before it hits home. Hopefully they've already looked at this when I've sent them our listing guide. We also have this posted on our website. If they follow our social media, they're probably going to see content of some capacity talking about each one of these topics, or they've seen it in use. They've seen our social media ads. Maybe they're already in our database and gotten the emails of when we blast out our listings. They've maybe seen that we've done and helped people find houses off market and or sell houses off market. So hopefully this is just like reassurance of this is what we can offer you. Hopefully you've seen it in action and that's why you've called us. I'd always summarize what the offer looks like. I think oftentimes we assume, but I don't want people just to know what it looks like to work with us, but what does it look like to work with us after we get your house on the market? What is it going to look like to negotiate that offer, especially if they're buying at the same time too? So this allows me to almost do, especially with a client that's buying and selling at the same time, it allows me to do like my listing presentation and a portion of my buyer consultation all in one setting. But I want them to know like, what is due diligence money? Every state obviously is going to be different, but take the terms of your offers and break it out and let them know like due diligence money is non-refundable. You're going to get it within a few days of the offer. During the due diligence period, I let them know they're going to be a home inspection, pest inspection, well and septic, appraisal, survey, title search. And then I'll ask them, have you had any of these things done recently? Have you had an appraisal done? Have you had a survey done? When's the last time you got your septic pumped? Is there anything you think is going to come up in the home inspection? And we'll start to talk about what is it we need to do to prepare your house for a home inspection or for photos. Any questions on these 2 pages? That's pretty straightforward. And then I talk about the steps to get your house ready. So we need to make any necessary repairs that we know are going to be major or could derail a home inspection. We will sometimes help coordinate those repairs. I've even paid for some of them up front and then gotten reimbursed at closing. I'm going to review comps with them, but we're not always going to set the price just yet. We're just going to look at what are we up against, what's pending right now, and then also what's closed in the last 3 to 6 months. And then I'm going to show them like what have some houses sold for versus others. We're going to look at condition so they can start to visualize their house in the eyes of a buyer and not my house versus, like, I want them to not take it personal. I want them to say, I want to best position my house to get it sold quickly for as much money as I possibly can. And you can tell them the things to do. But I think it's so powerful to show them. Like, this was a staged house that we sold, and look at what it sold for in 7 days versus another house in that exact same neighborhood that wasn't staged, that wasn't cleaned, that it took 9 months to sell for $30,000 less. Like, show them. Showing them is so much more powerful. So that's what I do in my listing presentation. Unless it's a past client of mine, I usually never set the price at the listing appointment. Sometimes I do, but I would say 90% of the time I do not. I wait and do a market analysis after I've seen the house and I've really determined what I feel like the house would sell for. And then if I have to get back in front of them to discuss that and review it in person, I will. We then talk about, are we going to stage it? Are we as a team going to stage it? Or are we going to bring our stager in? And I'll show you some options we have with that. And then we set up the photos, we do the videos, and usually we can get you on the market. If I'm meeting somebody today, I can usually get them on the market by the end of the week or early next week, unless they just have a need to want to wait till longer. And then I let them know, like, what is staging? Staging to me is showcasing off the bones of the house, but also subliminally planting cues throughout to get people subconsciously attached to the home. And what I mean by that is this: you guys have probably went into houses and seen like a coffee cup and a book sitting out on a screened-in porch, or walked into a kitchen and they've had a cookbook out and some bakeware and some fresh cookies sitting there, or a movie room with popcorn. All of those subliminal, subconscious things allow a buyer to start visualizing themselves doing those activities in your house. And if a buyer is looking at 5 other houses that day, they're going to remember the house that had the cookies and the popcorn because they've visualized themselves enjoying their family and eating cookies and popcorn, or visualizing themselves sitting out on that screened-in porch with a book, versus a house that's like dirty, messy, unstaged, doesn't smell good, hasn't been cleaned. It all matters, especially when we start to enter into a shifting market where the market's more balanced. Every detail matters. And I let my sellers know that. And I also show them, like, this is what we're up against. This house is staged. It's been painted. It has a brand new HVAC system. Ours is old. We need to paint. We need to stage. So it starts to make them realize you're not just telling them this to tell them this. You're really looking out for their best interests to help them net the most amount of money and also sell and sell quicker. We then prepare listing documents. I let them know about showing time. Once we go on the market, I talk about reviewing offers and then working through the due diligence period to closing day. And then I let them know what really sets us apart. And it truly is our social media, our videos, and our sponsored ads. Because when we list a house and we syndicate it to Realtor, Zillow, all the major consumer websites, we only get hundreds of views. When we do paid sponsored ads and get your house in front of what we call bottom of the funnel leads, we get tens of thousands of views. In real estate, the name of the game is exposure. The more people that you can get your house in front of, the more showings you're going to have, the more offers you're going to have. Social media right now is everything. And I know that they're changing some things with Facebook right now on sponsored ads. You can't have links. You can't have squeeze pages. So just know there's going to be some changes coming. But people usually they're on Facebook more than they're on anything else. They're on Instagram more than they're on anything else. So if you're an agent and you don't have a following yet, build up your following on social media. Like, interact with people, and post every single listing that you have. Post your wins, post your closings, and tell stories of, not just you sold another house. What is the story behind the people that you sold another house for? Get the warm and fuzzies out, because that's what's relatable to people. If you just sold a house to a first-time buyer, or you just helped a first-time seller sell their first house and capture $200,000 in equity, and they're able to move up and have the same payment, tell that story. That's what's going to attract people to you and get people moving forward to work with you versus another agent. But the amount of exposure that you get on your listings will attract more listings to you. because I promise you, most of the people that are connecting with you, they see that you're winning and helping other people win too. Because they followed a listing that was listed and they see 2 days later it was pending. And that's huge. We do the digital ads on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. And we get leads off of them every single day. Zenlist for us, if you're within EXP, is our exclusive listing platform where we can market our listings on there to any other EXP agent in the entire world. I think it was like 2 Fridays ago, we had 6 closings that were all exclusive off market. It can be a very powerful tool in niche little markets. And also when you have buyers and sellers in the same marketplace, but you have sellers that don't necessarily want to be massively marketed to the masses. These are people that want privacy, that don't want a bunch of showings. There may be a luxury client or what I would consider high level visibility client where they just don't want everybody in their stuff. It's a great way for you to market listings. We also, instead of going coming soon so early, will sometimes put our listings in the exclusive listing setting. In the event we have a buyer that comes, or we know of a buyer from another agent that comes, that it's a good fit, we don't even have to go on market. If it's going to take them 2 months to get their house ready, we'll do it in exclusive off market until they're ready to go on market. But during our listing consultation, my biggest goal is really to identify what are their goals. What does their timing look like? Why are they moving? What's important to them? And how can I architect a strategy with them that creates a successful outcome? And I really talk to them about what are their needs. Do you need to try to sell at premium price? Or is time more of a sensitive thing for you? Are you going to be buying and selling at the same time? Are you relocating out of state? Would it be better for us to have you move into a rental? Like tomorrow we have a listing coming where they completely moved out of the house, painted it, deep clean today, moved into a rental. They're getting ready to build. We're going to market it vacant, probably virtually staged. But you need to like figure out the why behind it all. Don't just like breeze through your listing guide without like connecting to the people to figure out the why so you can meet them where they're at to create a strategy that's going to make this less stressful and a more pleasant experience with you. And then we execute and produce it and make it come to life. And I'll share like some stories in this situation. Like if they're buying and selling at the same time, we'll talk about what does that look like? How do we buy and sell at the same time and close it the same day? If they're locating out of state, we'll talk about what that looks like and how we can help them. Do they need movers? Do they need a deep cleaner? Do they need a painter? Do they need staged? Is it going to be easier to sell it vacant or occupied? We'll talk about all that stuff because what we lead into next is what is it going to look like and what are the options to work with us. I also talk about, do we need to get a pre-inspection? Are anybody doing pre-inspections right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it really helps.
I think we're going back into a market where it's not a bad idea to do it because buyers are flighty right now. And I think the more peace of mind we can have from the get-go, the better, unless it's a newer house. If it's an older house that people have lived in for, I would say 5 to 10 years, it's not a bad idea to do a pre-inspection. And what I always tell sellers is I would rather you know what's going on before the buyer does, so we can repair it on your dime and not what their dime expects. Because we all know it could cost $2,000 to repair it, but the buyer's agent gets the most expensive person from yada, yada, yada. And it usually ends up being 2 to 3 times the cost of what it would actually cost to repair it. So I would encourage you to do a pre-inspection, especially on a house where you feel like there's stuff happening. It will just lead to a much smoother due diligence process. Home warranties are something we're starting to push. I have a seller right now that the HVACs are original. We're entering into a season of where it's hot. And I said, the last thing I want to happen is we go on the market and your HVAC goes out and you have a $8,000 to $10,000 replacement of your HVAC. So we are pushing home warranties again for sellers. The sellers are covered during the listing period, during the home inspection, and then it transfers over to the buyers. Do you add your vendor list to your website? We do not, because we update it so often that we usually then send it to them when they need it or when they reach out to us. Yes, I'll be sending this out. Do you have a key part of creating a cohesive brand and company culture? Yes, that could be a masterclass in and of itself, to be quite honest with you. Kara says, I never give it there. I feel I need to do. Yes, Kara, I agree with you. Unless it's a market that or a neighborhood that I've sold like 10 houses in and I can shoot it from my hip, I always do more research after, especially because been so many off market listings sell recently. And sometimes when I'm in that listing appointment, they tell me, like, my neighbor just sold their house off market. I need to know that. It's not data that I can just readily find, like in the MLS. How long does your listing appointment usually take? Tammy, it depends. I would say on average 45 minutes to an hour. I've had some take 2 hours if it's a larger house and if people talk more. I would love to keep them 45 minutes personally, but usually they can sometimes take an hour. I block an hour for them. And if they end sooner, hallelujah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Amber, I have a question regarding the Zen list and
Yeah.
the Zillow stuff that's coming up. Will you be removing that from your presentation if I don't really understand everything that's going on with the Zillow thing, but I think if we're holding listings off market
Mm-hmm.
and we don't put them on the market within 1 day, that they won't allow it to syndicate.
So the exclusive off market is an exclusive off market agreement, but then we can change it to an on market. And when you change it to an on market, you re-enter the listing. It looks like a brand new listing and would then feed to Zillow.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but I don't know if we are allowed to do that in California
That's
with
what we've been
EXPs.
told, that we can do that here,
Yeah,
that it's not an issue.
yeah. It probably isn't. I just need to educate myself more. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Because really
Mhm.
that's kind of what we're doing it already, to be honest with you. I mean, that's what we're doing now.
Right, we're doing off market with Zenlist, but that's exclusive to our brokerage.
Correct.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a big issue.
But Zenlist, I think what makes it unique too, Tracy, and you may want to check, I need to check
Yeah.
this too, but Zenlist syndicates back and forth to the MLS, not our exclusives. But if you log into Zenlist, like you can see MLS listings there, which is why I think we get away with it.
Mm,
Does that make
okay.
sense? We're like
Yes.
the other brokerages that are doing it don't have that cross relay back and forth with one another.
Okay. And is that a hiccup or an issue with Zillow syndicating if we don't put it on there?
I've been told
Uh,
no, because I think that's Leo's stance on it. Is
uh-huh.
why he's promoting. That's why he has that new form that came out, like the clear cooperation.
Yeah, I have that
Yeah,
form.
yeah.
But okay, so my understanding with that form is that we are not going to hold listings.
We're
So I need to read it
with it
again.
forever.
Mm.
So I have some listings that are totally exclusive, like they're not even on Zenlist.
Mhm.
Others we put on Zenlist. But then when they go on market, like we re-enter them and we don't necessarily terminate the exclusive listing. We just go back and change the listing agreement that says we're now going into public marketing phase and we're going on market now.
Okay.
And we re-enter it as a new listing. But who knows? This is all the stuff that changes like weekly right now in our world. I could be telling you totally wrong, but in my mind, that's how I understood it.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Pricing, when I talk pricing with them, I let them know when I do your market analysis, I'm going to have it to you within 24 hours. I usually try to get it to them same day, but if not, that next morning, I let them know I'm going to look at past sales, active listings, and active pendings, the condition, and just what is my general overall common sense. I have knowledge of the real estate market look like too, because I think that's sometimes an element that we take out of it. We know a lot before it happens and shows up in the market. So if we have if we have a pending listing in very similar neighborhoods that we just had 20 showings on, ended up in multiple offers, I'll tell that seller, I think we can potentially price you a little bit higher because I know there's a significant amount of demand in this market, in your market right now. So I try to take my market knowledge too of like common sense and not just always rely on what have past sales or pending sales say in the MLS. If I know what the demand looks like specific to their home, and I let them know that's how I'm going to price their house. And then I'm going to give them 3 prices. an above market price, which means it may take a little bit longer to sell. We may have to do a price reduction, an at market price, which means we should sell based upon the average days on the market relative to your home, and then a below market price, which potentially could get us a lot of activity, and we even may end up in multiple offers. That's not guaranteed, but it would position us to just have more exposure and drive up activity. And I let them say, you get to choose. You get to choose what you want your experience to look like. Do you want to maybe have to do a price reduction and take a little bit longer to sell? Or do you want to price yourself to sell in average days on the market, relative to your home? And I let them decide, because I never want them to come back to me and say, well, you told me to list it at this. No, I give you these three options and I let you choose. I let you make the decision of what do you want this experience to look like. Do I win every listing? No, but I'm always straight up with everybody. And I do a very intensive market analysis. I send it out via video, which that's going to be one of our future classes. I'm going to show you what that looks like. But I let people know, like, this is reality. I don't ever want to list your house and you not feel like I gave you the truth. I want you to know that I delivered you the truth and I gave you all the knowledge I have to best position your home. We then go into our listing packages. This was something we did post-COVID, and we've revamped it a little bit since then. But we give them three options. They can have the gold package, the platinum, or the diamond. The gold package is what we do for our off-market exclusives, because we don't do any social media advertising. We sometimes don't even take professional photos. They're like cell phone photos. We don't do video. We don't have to enter them into the MLS. And we also do this for our investors, our builders, and any distressed properties that we sell for wholesale. We have our platinum package, which is professional photography and video, marketing in both MLS systems, social media marketing, and we'll do an open house. And then we have the platinum package, which is what we usually do on anybody that needs help getting their house ready for the market, or we're going to do extensive marketing for them. This package includes drone photography, a cinematic, like movie style home video tour, staging services. We pay for the staging services up front. And then we collect, obviously, for a higher commission at closing. And then if they need coordination of repairs, they pay for the repairs, but we'll coordinate the vendors of when they need to go in, when does the cleaner need to go in, and then when does the stager need to go in. You would be surprised. I don't know exactly what the number is, but I would say probably about 30% of our listings, maybe even 40, choose the 4.5. So many people are paralyzed by getting their house ready for the market, and they're overwhelmed, and they either can't, don't have the time, are not here locally, or just don't have the being to do it. And we're able to, gratefully, we're able to pay for some of this out of pocket. I'm not saying that's the smartest thing, but it helps us position and elevate their home to help them make more money. And that's what I convey. Yes, we're going to charge you a little bit more, but I can probably sell your house for $30,000 more. And it's only going to cost you about $3,500 more. If we paint it, stage it, do a good deep clean, and get these repairs done, we can sell your home for more money. So a lot of people choose this. We also, I break down our seller net sheet. This is what it looks like when we send it to them in the market analysis. I tell them their above market price, the at market price, the below market price, and then I plug in, we talk about what package they're going to probably choose and go with. And then I plug in, what does the listing compensation look like? I go over all the fees. One thing we also started doing, and I would totally do this, especially if you have a transaction coordinator, a listing coordinator, and you offer a higher level of service, is charge an admin fee. We charge $495 on the listing side. I think it's $295 on the buyer side. But if you do the math, and if you have a team, I just want you, so let's say we sell 200 houses. Let's say we sell 150 listings this year. Oops. That's an additional $74,000 in revenue we're making on the admin fee. Yeah, Kara said, been doing $490 fee. Yeah, it is a game changer. It helps pay for your salary positions if you're a team owner. And a lot of people are doing it. So if you're not doing it, start doing it. We buy cars, and I think like the dock fees, like $995, and it's way less intense than selling a house. So why would you not? And I had to get my mind around it. I'm like, I'm going to lose listings. I've never lost a listing or a buyer because of our admin fee. Never, ever, 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 ever.
Amber, can you clarify whether you're paying for the professional cleaning?
It depends. It depends upon the situation and the client. If it's a luxury client that just needs us to coordinate it, they pay for it. We'll coordinate it. If it's somebody like I have a seller right now that her life is she's grieving. She lost a teenage son um, literally a few days before Thanksgiving. She's already moved out of this house. She can't come back into this house. I got stuff moved to the garage. I got her house deep cleaned for her and the landscaping. And I've just paid for it out of pocket to help her get this, just to help her. I think I just try to be a human and say, like, if I was in her position, what would I need right now?
And the staging that you mentioned, is that you providing your expertise but not moving furniture, or is that something else?
So the 3.5% is us providing our expertise and like helping them go room by room. 4.5 is a professional stager coming in and bringing living room, kitchen, dining room, owner suite, office, and maybe outdoor furniture. I have a decent deal set up with a local stager where she's charging me anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to stage my listings.
Oh, okay.
And then you pay for that, Amber?
Yeah.
Because with the 4.5.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. We do virtual staging on a lot of our less expensive houses that don't make sense. But I mean, if we charge 1% more on a $1 million to $1.5 million house, that's a significant amount of money. And it's only really costing me $2,500, but it's taking that stress and anxiety off the seller. And usually the luxury client just wants they want time bought back. Do you handle if the home does not sell? Do you reimburse? So far, every single house is sold, but there's going to come a time where it doesn't. And I'm not going to ask them to reimburse me. I'll pivot what we're doing. You can. It's just my heart doesn't allow me to do it, but I could. And also, go ahead, Misha. That was your question?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, the last call we were on with Dan, he had said about staging that what he does is he does get his client to cover the cost of the staging up front, but I think he said he uses the verbiage something like we are more than happy to credit it back at closing because of the verbiage in the listing agreement. You can cancel this at any time. We don't want to be stuck with the amount, for the staging. We are more than happy to credit that back at closing, but we do ask our sellers to provide the cost for the staging up front. So I didn't know if that would help anybody because I saw the question of what happens about if it doesn't sell or if they reimburse you.
I think that's a great thing to do, especially if our staging costed more, I probably would do that. But given if I sell 1 or 2 luxury houses and it pays for like the staging for 10 houses and it actually becomes like revenue producing for me, that's why I haven't done it yet. But if I see that it's not going to be like a net positive for us, I definitely would reposition myself, Misha, like how Dan said to do. Because I'm sure out there, staging is not $1,500 to $2,500. It's probably $8,000 to $10,000. Here, we're just in a smaller market, so it's not as expensive. And we're giving our stager usually 3 to 5 houses a month. We have more of a relationship with her, and we've provided her an additional probably $5,000 to $10,000 in income per month pretty consistently. Because now my builders and investors are using her too, and my builders and investors pay her directly. I do not pay for those because we're already doing those at a reduced commission. So they just pay for her directly to do it. But most people see the value in it, especially in a market that's shifting. They see that, they're going to stand out against the competition. I always put in here a list of questions to ask other real estate agents because I want to make sure that they're comparing apples to apples and not just what they hear and see. I want them to really like dive deep and know like this is how you compare apples to apples. And then I give them a photo shoot prep list and then just like a seller checklist, which is just stuff to do to prepare for home inspections. And that's it. Is there anything that you guys have questions about or that you have in your listing and presentation that ours is missing, or just something that you're seeing work right now in your marketplace with your sellers? Are you guys seeing a lot of for sale by owners right now in your markets?
No. But I just started running into wholesalers listing their stuff on MLS, and that's really sad.
Who are they listing it with? They have their own license?
So one that I'm looking at in Greensboro right now, the agent is out of Charlotte and the wholesaler is out of who knows where, and they're going off the pre-foreclosure list. So he lists it as full service because he's fully serving the wholesaler. And the person who owns the place has an agreement with the wholesaler, of course, to get herself out of this bind. She's such a sweet lady. They don't even tell her she has showing requests. We just were there on a confirmed showing and she walks in 20 minutes in and had no idea people would be in her house. And they listed her property
Okay.
at 1,500 square feet. It's actually 1,820. It's priced accurately for a 1,500 square foot house. So they're just obnoxiously bad. But so we need to help them. We need to get to them before the wholesalers do.
Yeah. Wholesaling is a whole world in and of itself. And it's, I have a wholesaler that's also an investor that I work with. They're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month to get in front of these people or to like move. They have like a full team of inside sales agents essentially that like follow up with these people consistently. They plant the seeds, they send them stuff in the mail. Like it's a job in and of itself, to be quite honest with you.
I have a question regarding compensation because I'm just like, wow, that's 3.5, 4, but we don't have anything like that here. We're trying to keep afloat at 3, and I always ask for 3. So I think with me, it'd be a mindset shift and a presentation, showing the different options because I'm doing all those services for my 3.
Yeah.
And it's wearing me thin. So I appreciate you sharing that today because it's like a lot of really good nuggets to bring to the table and really start coaching myself on, the mindset of I can do it for 4.5.
Yep.
And this is why. So it's unheard of over here in California. So
maybe it can be the trendsetter.
Exactly.
Oftentimes we don't value ourselves as listing agents enough. And when you start to do higher volume, every dollar starts to add up more and more and more.
Right.
And if you can charge 1% more and an additional $500 more, you can take your business from being break even to profitable, or making 20% to making 40%. And it can also be even just charging the $495 can allow you to hire a full-time person. And it allows you to scale your business versus like drowning in survival mode. But I feel like I was hesitant to do it, but then I just did it. But I had to make sure like I conveyed I am different. We're the only industry where we're almost all paid the same for way different levels of expertise and experience. And that shouldn't happen. It should not. You can go to a doctor who's been in the business for 20 years and he's going to probably charge you $1 million for a surgery, where another doctor that's just trying to get his practice and everything going is going to charge you $250 to $300. You can go anywhere. If you have value and knowledge and exposure and influence in your community and a marketing plan and the ability to market yourself at a higher level, and you have a deeper network of people that you're connected with and a database, and just really experience on negotiating and setting pricing, but also like negotiating contracts, and also information about vendors and what stuff should cost, and you're able to bring that back to the client, you may be charging them more, but you're making them more money when they sell their house, but also you're going to save them money when they go to renovate. if they're going to do floors or cabinets or countertops, this person over here may charge them $7,500, but this person over here, because Amber sent them, is going to charge them $5,000. You're helping them net positive in the big picture, but you have to convey that to them.
Right. And then
Have those-
another question on that. Are other agents in your market doing the same thing?
I'm sure they are. I don't think everybody is. I mean, Tammy's in my market. Tammy, do you feel like some of them are? I would say,
She's on mute.
Yes. And as far as the admin fees and all, I've been doing that for a while too. Once in a while, I'll get a little bit of feedback like, well, I thought that was included in this percentage. And so we just kind of have to sell ourselves a little bit more. And I'm sure Amber's much better at that. But
she
yeah.
kills it. I love Tammy. Tammy, you're one of my favorite people.
Girl.
You really are like one of my favorite people in the whole world.
You're one of mine. You're one of mine.
I just love you to death.
I have a question that I'm hoping maybe it might help others too, but do you mind elaborating, Amber, on how when you're talking to your clients, to your sellers, and they are wanting to, you go over your percentages with them, then when you go to add in the cooperating compensation, can you elaborate a little bit about how you do that? Do you mostly focus on the percentages that you're charging them yourself, and then do you go back and talk to them a little bit more about the buyer's compensation?
So how I position that, and I'm grateful you brought that up because I don't have it as a page in here, but where I talk about it is here on the seller net sheet. I talk about all the costs associated with selling. And I usually say, if you sold a house 5 years ago, your agent, if it wasn't me, your agent probably said, we're going to charge anywhere from 5 to 6%. And they usually then split that fee. I said, now starting August of last year, we have to have what's called clear cooperation. I'm going to tell you the compensation on my behalf, but I'm going to let you know what most buyers are expecting for you, the seller, to pay on their behalf. And I say it can be anywhere from 2% to 3%. I'm going to plug in there something in the middle, but whenever we get a contract and we negotiate it, we're just going to pay attention to this net down here. As long as we hit you the net that you want, none of these are matter. And usually that's what I say. And it, some of them have questions. I'll usually say, for luxury, it's usually 2 to 2.5%. If it's a land or under 300, it usually is 2.5 to 3%. I said, but that's left, for us to essentially negotiate whenever the offer comes in. We can say that we're willing to pay X amount in a buyer compensation. That's up to you, the seller. If you want to say you're wanting to offer an X amount for buyer compensation, we can market it. We just can't put it in the MLS. I have to communicate it directly to other agents.
Yeah.
And then I also say, and I've had it where like my buyer was saying, I'm only going to pay 2.5%. We get a killer offer with 3%. They pay the 3%. And I just say that's what it's come down to. You're able to now essentially negotiate this. I'm not a listing agent that gets a 220 signed for every listing, because all I would do every day is send out 220s. And I'm not signing myself up for that at all. It's impossible. We now use boards, which we're creating systems around. Like if we go to that route, we'll do it. But to me, we all know we're probably going to get 2 to 3%. Your job as a buyer's agent is to negotiate that with your client. I have a deal today that I took 2% on because I'm helping them on the buy side, but we had to heavily discount their house on the selling side, and I'm getting 3.5%. I'm okay missing out on $1,500. I just want to get the deal done. And I think that sometimes is the point that we're missing as agents, is we can't get in the way with people that we're helping sell multiple properties. We can't be stuck on pennies. You focus on the millions. And then me personally, I say, like, I'm focusing on the seeds that I'm planting for a future harvest. And if these are people that are highly influential and have given me referrals already, even before they use me, I would be willing to negotiate with them a little bit, because I know in the long run, it's a relationship business. And I would rather have them protect the relationship than protect $1,500 or $3,000. Now, do I do that on everybody? No, but some I will, but I just let my sellers know. I mean, I've had a few sellers like, well, I'm not going to pay that. And I said, Mr. Seller, if you were up against 5 other houses, or I tell them like these other 5 houses, I assure you right now are all probably offering a buyer agent compensation. If you're the only one that's not, especially in your price point, you're going to be looked over. They're not going to want to come see your house. Now,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm not getting the question of what's your seller paying for buyer compensation nearly as much as I was. I would say January through February, maybe even into March, I was getting it on like every single house. I have not been recently. And that does not hurt my feelings.
When I'm doing, when I'm representing a buyer,
Mm-hmm.
I always do my BRBC with the 3%,
Yeah.
but we always write it in the offer for the seller to compensate me.
Yes.
So I would say 99% of the time now, because I'm only asking for 3%, I get 2.5 from the seller and then the 0.5 from the buyer.
Yeah.
So they're bringing that to, is anyone else doing that?
Yeah. We'll get our buyer to pay the gap sometimes, especially
Okay.
if they're buying only. Any other questions? I have to jump on my coaching call. I'm telling him I'm gonna be a few minutes late. Any other questions? Any other things you guys are gonna go implement?
Did you say that you're sharing this document with us?
Yeah, it's on my website too. If you just go to At Home with
Download it.
the A team, it's on there. And also it's posted in the private Facebook group as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I hope everybody has a fabulous day, and I hope you all get a lot of listings. I'm gonna I should have said this at the beginning. I'm grateful I have 8 new listings this week, which is probably like the craziest week ever. I told my girls, like, buckle up. Is there anything else we need? Because it's going to be a busy week. But I am very grateful that we have
Great.
a really good. So Tammy, if you have any buyers, we have lots of killer listings coming this week. Yeah,
I've got
good.
my your way.
Stay tuned. They all start to hit the market. We have one coming soon today, but the rest of them hit the market tomorrow through Friday. So stay tuned. All right. Everybody have a fabulous day. Bye.